I was recently very kindly asked by some of my subscribers to talk about 1995's Gumby the movie. Now, I'm a man of the people and I like to give my audience what they want, especially if they're bullying me into doing it. So let's take a couple minutes and talk about the weirdness that is this little green clay man, Gumby. In 1953, a University of Southern California student named Art Clokey created a short film in his dad's garage. Gumbasia was an homage to Fantasia, the Disney classic, and featured clay in a number of shapes and colors dancing around to classical music. And though it didn't include the character that Clokey would come to be known for creating, you can definitely notice that it has the same style. 2 years later, Clokey would show this film to a film producer named Sam Engel. Engel liked his work, but encouraged Clokey to try to use characters so that it might be more appealing to children. Art would take his advice and create another short, and thus Gumby was born. When asked later why he chose to make Gumby green, Clokey answered,
"So I made him green, which is kind of racially neutral. Chlorophyll converts light into food. Green is the basic symbol of life, I guess."
When the two original Gumby shorts were a hit after airing as part of the Howdy Doody show, the higher-ups at NBC ordered Gumby a series of his own. Over the next few years, Gumby's group of friends would increase. At first, his only companion was Pokey, a horse, but as time went by, it would grow to include a yellow dinosaur named Prickle and a blue mermaid named Goo. The Gumby show would continue to have new episodes created until production was shut down in 1969. And that's probably where the story would have ended. But on March 27, 1982, Eddie Murphy would breathe unexpected new life into the character by playing a foul-mouthed version of Gumby on Saturday Night Live.
"I'm Gumby, damn it! You don't talk to me that way!"
The skits were an immediate hit, and interest in all things Gumby would hit a 2-decade high. 99 new episodes were created and were shown in syndication, along with remasters of the original shorts. And this finally brings us to the main reason of this video, Gumby's first feature-length movie. The movie brings together most of the original cast, including Charles Farrington as Gumby. In reality, Farrington was actually Dallas Raymond McKinnon, a voice actor who you may recognize as Max the dog from the original How the Grinch Stole Christmas, or as the safety announcer on the ride Big Thunder Mountain Railroad at Disneyland.
Now then, hang on to them hats and glasses, 'cause this here's the wildest ride in the wilderness.
Gumby the movie was made on a budget of $2.8 million and was released in only 21 theaters and grossed $57,100. Now, I'm not sure how much you know about the money side of the movie business, but this is pretty bad. Over the years, though, Gumby the movie would gain a kind of cult following through home video rentals. Undoubtedly, this is how pretty much anyone who actually remembers this movie from their childhood saw it. But enough of the build-up, let's talk about the plot of Gumby the movie. The movie opens in space, with an unseen creature watching old episodes of The Gumby Show. We then pan up to a black obelisk, kind of similar to something we would see in 2001, A Space Odyssey. Ominous music begins to play as it splits into two rectangles, one green, one red, and the two shapes fly to Earth. We find out pretty quickly that Pokey is really jealous of Gumby's new bandmates because he's always spending his time playing music with them instead of hanging out with Pokey. Now, I originally thought that this was going to be a big plot point and that it was going to carry on throughout the whole movie, but like all future plot points that will be introduced, it will be abandoned for a new idea in just a few minutes. It's at this point that we're introduced to Prickle and Goo in what is one of the most horrifying scenes I can recall from a children's movie. You see, after an accident on a slide, the three friends are merged together into a big ball of clay. They're taken to the hospital where the doctors struggle to separate them.
Well, now this is the worst case of multiple compound fusion I've ever seen.
This really brings up some horrifying implications that it's probably better not to think about. And this is also the first scene that gives us a good look at the nightmare fuel that is the human beings of this movie. I can't quite put my finger on why I don't like them. I just know that I don't. As horrifying as they are, at least they seem to be competent at their jobs because they're able to get the three clay-based life forms separated. Then we finally get a scene with Gumby himself as the focus, and it's one where he's learning the dances of other cultures by watching some dances that I really don't think have aged very well. It's at this point that Gumby meets up with the rest of his friends and they take off to go practice for their next concert. We are introduced to the Blockheads, the villains of the movie, 2 guys who don't talk, love money, and hate Gumby. That's all we really learn about them, that and the fact that they're masters of robotics, but that won't come into play for a little bit. I really kind of like these guys because they're just bad. They're just mean. They're so bad that in their first scene, they're joyfully handing out notices to all the farms in town, letting them know that they're going to be foreclosing on the farms. And this is where I got my biggest genuine laugh out of the movie. You see, Gumby and his pals have come along one of the farmers who found the letter in her mailbox and then fainted. Prickle has no chill when it comes to the financial woes of these people.
Gosh, it must be awful losing your farm.
It just shows you that to borrow money is dangerous.
He's a regular Dave Ramsey. After Gumby and his pals comfort the first farmer, they drive off screen and come across this scene. I just love the idea that either all of these people got the letter at the same time and all passed out, or one by one they came out to their mailbox, ignoring their collapsed neighbors and just passing out on their own. Gumby decides that he wants to help out, and so he and the band plan to throw a charity concert to help out the farmers. So once again, I find myself thinking, oh, this is what the movie is going to be about. But then the movie throws another curveball at me. We find out that the dog Lowbelly can cry magical tears that turn into pearls. Gumby has the pearls appraised by a scientist. Once the Blockheads find out about this, they kidnap the dog to exploit this miracle for financial gain. Now it's at this point that the movie gets a little bogged down in the kidnapping of every single character and then creating a robot version of them, so we aren't going to spend too much time here. All you need to know is that everything climaxes with Gumby fighting his robot doppelganger with a lightsaber, a battle that ends when Gumby is chopped into little bits. I must admit, a pretty gutsy ending for a kid's movie. Oh wait. Actually, it turns out that Gumby and his friends actually destroy the robots by just pouring water on them. So, that's a direction to go to, I suppose. And even though the movie didn't have the backbone to end on the death of its main character, I will give it some points for the robots' deaths being surprisingly horrific. I'm getting some very strong Raiders of the Lost Ark vibes here. The movie concludes with Gumby's talent agent, who I forgot to mention earlier, helping him make a music video that is so beautiful that Lowbelly the dog cries millions of pearls, thus completely solving the problems in this movie. And don't ask me why this guy looks like Groucho Marx. I don't know. You should have stopped asking questions like that a long time ago. I also forgot to mention that the song that plays during the music video is a love song between Gumby and his love interest Tara. She's not important, don't worry about her, we are almost done. So the group sells the pearls and saves the farms. Though I do want to point out they don't actually pay off the farmers' debt, they just open their own loan agency, which is kind of, I don't know, messed up. With the day saved, Gumby and his pal Pokey again turn into colored rectangles, fly into space, and combine into the black obelisk once again, something that makes even less sense than it did at the beginning of the movie. So, what did I think about Gumby the movie? If I'm going to be completely honest, I actually kind of really liked it. It's fast-paced, weird, and most importantly, entertaining. But it's so odd to think that this movie came out in 1995, the same year as Toy Story, and 3 years after The Nightmare Before Christmas. And we were seeing some really well-made animated movies at the time. And though Gumby doesn't really compete with either of those movies in terms of quality, it has this old-timey look to it that makes it kind of feel like a classic. Its simplicity helps make it an endearing movie that, to my surprise, is still able to hold the attention of kids. And then also, like any good kids movie, there's at least a couple moments in it that leaves the parents in the room wondering what in the world they are watching. So do you have any weird movies from your childhood that you think I should take a look at? I'd love to hear about it in the comments below. Maybe I'll talk about it in an upcoming video. Thanks for stopping by. You take care, and I will see you next time.